my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and these are your questions answered for this week. So every week, I basically put out a video on Wednesdays where I ask you to ask me questions, and then the following week, I answer those questions. So this is that part where I answer your questions. The first question comes from K. Munin. Are there any comic titles from the 90s that you would recommend? If you actually watch my 90s cover challenge, basically all of those titles are the ones that I'd recommend. But my favorite from the 90s was probably Bone. I just was a big Bone fan. Just a really cool title, and very collectible as well. So kind of benefit if you're looking for something to collect, or benefit if you're looking for a really great read. By the way, I have a bit of a cold, so when I hear myself, I'm like, it sounds really weird. It's very muffled. So it should be a bit of an interesting video. So yeah, so Bone is one I definitely recommend. Another title I really enjoyed when I read it in the 90s was Evil Ernie and Lady Death. I enjoyed all those books. I thought they were fun. And I enjoyed Harris's Vampirella. Vengeance of Vampirella was the title. So there's a bunch of titles like that. I also collected Malibu Comics, which is kind of a one of those titles that's completely gone, which is like Prime and Mantra and Supreme and all those actually it's not Supreme, but Prime, and what's some of the Night Watch or something like that. I'm trying to remember all the titles from Supreme, from Malibu Comics. But it was so that's another title that I would recommend, or series of titles. I actually really liked Mantra for some reason. That was the one I gravitated to. It was basically this guy who was trapped in this beautiful girl's body, and he would solve crime and stuff. Yeah, it was a weird title. And Prime was actually good too. It was like a little boy, kind of similar to Captain Marvel, like the Golden Age Captain Marvel. He's a little boy, and he's trapped in this like superhuman man suit. Yeah, so similar idea actually. But yeah, those were the two that I really liked from that series. Yeah, but check out my Plastic Age cover challenge. I think those, like most of the ones on that list, would be kind of titles I'd recommend. Okay, next question comes from Curtis Cameron. Do you collect Mac Raboy covers? If you can show some of your favorites in your collection. Okay, I actually do collect Mac Raboy. I don't actively collect him, so I only have a few in my collection, but I do appreciate his covers. So I have this one. Got this recently, actually. This is just a really great skating cover. It's a nice Mac Raboy one. So yeah. A lot of the Mac Raboy covers are painted covers. So this is a really cool one. And I'm pretty sure this is Mac Raboy. I'm like, for the next one. What does it say? And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, but it's a great cover, regardless if I'm right or wrong. This is Captain Marvel Jr., number 37. It's an Infinity cover. I think this is Mac Raboy. I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure, to tell you the truth. So yeah, this is just really cool cover. It's an Infinity cover because if you look at his hand, he's holding the same comic, and it repeats inside. So yeah, so it's a really cool one. Captain Marvel Jr., number 37. And these ones I definitely know are Mac Raboys, so it makes it a little easier because these are actually graded, so they actually say that they're Mac Raboy. So I really like his work on Bullet Man. So this is Bullet Man number 2. And somewhere, I don't know where, but I have Bullet Man number 1, but I don't know where it is. And here's Bullet Man number 5. I really like Bullet Girl, so this is another great MacRaboy cover. So yeah, I don't know. So I like these ones. These are kind of similar to like the more fun comics, where you have like the Bernard Baileys, where they're like this giant version of the Spectre, and he's kind of like looking down on all the criminals and stuff. These kind of remind me of that. Same idea, where you get the superhero like giant size, and they're fighting all the criminals, and they're all small. So I really like this cover. So this is Bullet Man number 5. And I was a big fan. I'm actually a fan of Bullet Man. I'm trying to get the whole run for Bullet Man. I think it's worthy of getting. So that's one I'm working on. So yeah, so those are my MacRaboy collection. And I'm not sure, as I said, I'm not 100% sure if this is a MacRaboy, but you can tell me in the comments, is this a MacRaboy? Captain Marvel Jr. 37. But I'm pretty sure it is. I think when I bought it, the guy said it was a MacRaboy. Okay, so the next one comes from Shane Ottvos. Shane Ottvos. Can you show your favorite green, blue, yellow, black, and red covers? Okay, so we'll start out with, so I got all those covers right here. I had to actually think about blue. Blue actually gave me a bit of an issue because there's a lot of, like, I don't really know that many blue covers. And then I thought about this one. There was another one I thought about as well, but this is the one I kind of went with because I really do love this cover. And this is Submariner number 5. And this is the first appearance of Tiger Shark. I just love the blue girl, and I just think it's really cool how it's like an underwater cover, and you got Submariner coming down, and you got Tiger Shark looking all Tiger Sharky, and it's just a really great blue cover. I just thought this was always a really great cover. I actually like this more than Submariner number 1. I think it's just a cool cover, even though Submariner number 1 is another blue cover. I was debating about which to bring. I chose this one because I thought is a better cover in my opinion. The blues are very dark and rich, and the blue girl, you know, contrasts that, so I like that. So yeah, I enjoyed that one. So that's blue. Yellow is kind of an obvious one for me. It's my Wonder Woman number 1. I just love this cover. I always thought this was a great cover. So yeah, just a really great Wonder Woman cover. I like that they actually kind of had this scene within the Wonder Woman movie, where she's kind of going across no man's land, and I just think it's a really great cover. Just, you know, crazy action going on, and, you know, Wonder Woman being all heroic and leading the armies across the no man's land. So it's just a really great cover. One of my favorite Wonder Woman covers of all time, actually. So yeah, Wonder Woman number 1. Yellow, that's yellow. Then we got green, and you actually said this one. So when he wrote the original question, it was a little bit longer, and he said, "Oh, would you pick this one for your green one?" And yeah, I said I would. Basically, yes, I would pick this as my favorite green cover. This is Showcase 79, and it's just a really great cover. Probably one of the most classic Showcase covers. It's art by J. Scott Pike. Just a really cool cover. Just, I like the fact that she goes right across the cover, you know, and, you know, just such a beautiful cover. And the way the greens kind of work, it's really well done. So, yeah, that's green. And black is an interesting one. And it's probably one, like, most people would think, oh, I picked some like Golden Age book or something like pricey. But this is actually the one I chose. The reason I chose this one is it's all black. It's a black cover. It's almost a mirror. You can, like, you see in front of me and stuff. But it's one that was done for the 9/11 remembrance. And I just think it's quite brilliant. I like the fact that I got it in a 9/8. So it's, you know, perfect copy. The scuffing that you see right there is actually on the case, not on the comic. But it's just a really great black cover. And so yeah, that's my black one. And my red one's an interesting one. I mean, there was a bunch I could have chosen for red, but I really like this cover. It's a great Good Girl art cover. It's a roller coaster cover, which I also like. And it's Junior, number 16. And I just like this Al Feldstein cover. It's like, you know, it's a bit of a headlight cover. You know, also I like yellow as a color. So they're both wearing yellow. And I think the yellow contrasted with the red kind of works. It's very, if you look at the cover, there's very few colors being used. It's only like 3 colors, really. Yellow, red, and blue. And it just works. I find it's very simple, but you know, kind of subtly works. There's a bit of green here, and it works with this, you know, against the side panel here. So just, I think it's really, really well done. Simple, but actually, you know, something great about it. I like these Good Girl art covers. So yeah, so that's my red choice. So those would be my favorite of those colors. Okay, next question. Comes from Stefo6, or Stephen Gentner, my friend. He asked me, St. John's Comics was a great comic company starting around 1949. Can you tell me what aggregation company did they use? Like Binder or Eisner and Iger House, if any were used to create all the art for their comics. So actually, St. John is kind of an interesting story. They started in 1947. They ran till 1958 as a comics company. They actually went to 1967, but and when they finally went completely defunct, but they were publishing magazines at that point. So their first book, like the reason you might have mentioned the 1949, was their first romance book was published in 1949, which was Teenage Romances, #1, and that was their first romance book. But they also got the rights to publish a lot of books like from Terry Toons. So they basically worked, I think it's Paul Terry, I'm pretty sure, and they got the rights from him so that they could publish like Mighty Mouse and Casper the Ghost and a whole bunch of cool titles. Actually, I wrote them all down. Dinky Duck, Casper, Heckle and Jekyll, Gandy Goose, Baby Huey, and Little Audrey. Yeah, so, and they were actually, so you're asking which aggregate did they work with? Well, actually, it's a comic book packager company that those Iger House and all those ones would be called. They're comic book packaging companies. And they didn't work with any. They worked in-house. They had their own artists that worked for them. And one of the famous artists that worked for St. John was Matt Baker. And so I brought a bunch of Matt Bakers with me, and I'm going to show you a bunch of books from St. John. I know that you have a lot of these yourself, the guy that asked this question, but I'm going to try to show some cool stuff anyways. So we got Canteen Kate. This is one of the titles that Matt Baker created under St. John. And you can see there's St. John's little logo right there. That was actually the name of I think it's Archer St. John is the guy who created St. John Publishing. And this is, Matt Baker. And here's some more Canteen Kate #1. And actually, I got one more Canteen Kate, I think. Yeah, Canteen Kate number these are all Matt Baker's work on Canteen Kate at St. John. And as I said, they also got the rights to publish kind of major cartoon characters like Casper the Ghost. And this Casper the Ghost made his first appearance in a St. John publication, Casper the Friendly Ghost. So this was published in 1949. And that was the first time Casper was in comics, was through St. John. And they also did some military ones. Fighting Marines was one of their titles, and that's actually where Canteen Kate made her first appearance. So, but one of the big claims to fame that St. John's has is they were the world's first, it says, comic company to produce a 3D comic, and this is 3-dimension comics with Mighty Mouse again, and this was the very first 3D comic. And at the time, it actually sold for a lot of money. It was 25 cents, so that's big money. So you'd think, oh, these might be quite rare because that's a lot of money compared to the 10-cent comics that existed back in the Golden Age. Well, this book sold really, really well. The gimmick of 3D glasses really, really pushed this book to have massive sales. So this book sold 1.2 million copies. So it was a massive success for St. John. They actually, in the biography for St. John, they said he made millions and lost millions. He was kind of all over the place in terms of his success. But this was one of the books that was really successful. And in 1953, because of the success of this one comic, there was a string of comic companies that were producing 3D comics. So this created a trend. So that's how important St. John was. And I did mention that they did do romance books. Another romance title that they worked on was Pictorial Romances. And this is another Matt Baker cover. So this is Pictorial Romances number 9 from 1951. And by 1958, they kind of, really the writing was on the wall for St. John when the Comic Code Authority came in. And they struggled. They tried to keep it going for a few more years. And in 1958, they couldn't keep it going. They gave up on publishing comics and strictly went into producing magazines. So that's a little bit of history about St. John. And it's an interesting company, one that has a lot of really great Matt Baker covers. For those people that collect Matt Baker, St. John is the company that had a lot of really great covers. He was involved with a whole bunch of different titles, Matt Baker. He did Authentic Police Cases, Canteen Kate, Cinderella Love, and Teenage Romances, and Pictorial Romances, all under the St. John title. So those are all ones to look for, and some of them can be fairly pricey, like Cinderella Love is considered to be Matt Baker's most famous cover. Actually, Cinderella Love is actually a very interesting title for St. John because they actually picked up the title from Ziff Davis, who they bought the rights from, and they published it until I think into the 20s. So just an interesting one. And Matt Baker's covers within Cinderella Love are considered to be some of his best covers, and they can go for tens of thousands of dollars for some of his, like Cinderella Love 25. So that is this week's Q&A. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have a question you'd like to ask me, put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Thanks again for watching. Sorry for my cold. I feel like I sound weird to myself, so hopefully I don't sound too weird to you. I hopefully will be better by Friday, so we'll see. So thanks again for watching. Bye for now.